Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
Good afternoon, or good morning, or good night, ladies and gentlemen, or gentle thems. Thank you for tuning into the Jared Cast. My name is Jared A. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, hi. With me is Jared L. How you doing today, Jared?
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, hi, hi. I'm good. I'm real sleepy for some reason, even though I slept like a little baby. But I'm excited. We got a double record, peeling the curtain back, and there are two episodes that I'm extremely excited about, especially this one because this has been a long time coming. It has been a work in progress, longer than our horror bracket. I think we've been talking about this one in a while, so I'm mostly excited. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just, you saw. I just wolfed down a bowl of Spam and rice and then a bowl of kimchi. So I'm awake.
You're juiced up and ready to rock.
I'm juiced up and ready to rock, man. Kimchi and coffee. That's the way to start. But yeah, just in case you don't know what Jared is alluding to, we are talking about today our best of 2021 list. To clarify, because the Academy included January and February 2021 into the eligibility period, we are just talking about movies that came out between March 1st and December 31st of 2021. But it's been fun, like kind of constructing this list over the past year and figuring out what would make it, what would not make it. And there's a lot of heartbreak, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot of similarities between Jared and I because we have similar tastes, but we also have
half of it is going to be either A24 or Neon.
But I'm sure there'll be other differences because we also don't agree all the time. So it's going to be a fun list either
Absolutely.
way. We're going to try to keep it spoiler free for you guys. I'm going to try to remember where everything is streaming. I don't think I'll succeed. But thank you for tuning in to last week's episode as well. That was a really fun one to record, and I'm excited for what the Jared Cast has to bring in 2022 because I have no idea.
Yeah, every like month or so, we just make it a completely different podcast,
Which I like. I like that we've like evolved from like competing analyses to like just a general discussion every episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works a lot better.
Agreed. It's been headed in a nice direction, and I'm excited to see it through as well.
Hell yeah. With that said, would you like to start us off with your number 15? Oh, by the way, we're doing our top 15 and 3 honorable mentions.
Yes.
So we're gonna go through the 15, the bottom 10,
Mm-hmm.
not super slowly, and then we'll go into more detail with our top 5.
Yeah. And also, I know you see those timestamps in the description because Jared works very hard. Listen to the whole damn list, all right? We worked hard on this shit. That said, I will kick us off with one of the most highly anticipated releases this year, I think. But for me, this director always kind of I always say style over substance, and it's a very popular critique with this director. And I think this is no exception, but the style in this film is fucking amazing. I absolutely loved it. It's entertaining throughout. The most stacked cast of the year. And if it wasn't obvious already, The French Dispatch from Wes Anderson coming in at number 15 for me. It's Wes Anderson. You kind of know what you're getting, but I think the short story structure of it works well in his favor. And there's a couple cool like visual things that he does that he hasn't really done before, from what I've seen. And I liked it. So it was a great addition to the Wes Anderson filmography.
Yeah, man. I was very sad to miss out on the French Dispatch in theaters, and I sadly did not get a chance to visit it for this list. But the only reviews that I've heard are your review just now and my brother, who said like he couldn't focus on the movie in the first 10 minutes because the design was just that good.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So I'm very excited to see it. My number 15 was not highly anticipated by a lot of people, but except for me, because I feel like I'm the only person on the internet defending this guy. Of course, I'm talking about Nicolas Cage in his in a really solid and really sincere and really lovely and beautiful dramatic turn in the film Pig, which is my number 15. I think if this movie is so beautiful, so lovely, so simple, and just really, really, it did a lot of things that I didn't expect. If there's like 3 or 4 scenes where the camera is just way too shaky, and I think that's the only reason it's not in the top 10. Other than that, it's a magnificent movie.
Yeah, agreed. Like it a lot. I don't know if you're the only one defending Nicolas Cage. I feel like there's a 50-50 line, and then half people are like, I'll watch everything he does. And then the other half are like, he's a hack and I don't like him.
maybe it's just with my friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
maybe.
For my number 14, we're going to my first foreign language installment.
Ooh.
And that is with Lamb. We're heading to Iceland. Vladimir Johansson coming in with an Icelandic folklore-based movie about parenthood. And that's that. This movie is gripping visually. It's absolutely gorgeous. The effects are actually done too well, so well that it's like unsettling to watch at times. And it just, you can tell it was made with a lot of heart, and it was unique enough to put itself over the French Dispatch. And it's just a fun watch. Like it's just fun to zen out and watch this beautiful, weird painting come to life. And so that's why it's my number 14.
Hell yeah. Like even the first like 30% of the movie where it's literally just farming. Like I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Like I could watch this all day.
I could watch a 3-hour movie of just that, honestly. And the score is beautiful. It helps this movie along so well.
My number 14 is also a slow burn, but a very different kind. It's not really a horror. It's more of a psychodrama. Jane Campion has really been celebrated over the years as a remarkable auteur in terms of her psychodrama style storytelling. I have not seen The Piano, but I did see Bright Star, which is a fantastic biopic of the life of John Keats and the love who inspired him. But yeah, Jane Campion's latest movie, The Power of the Dog, is my number 14. This is on Netflix. By the way, Pig is on Hulu. But Power of the Dog is on Netflix, and it's really, really good. And maybe my favorite Benedict Cumberbatch performance ever. It's been so long since we've had a director who actually knew how to direct him and knew how to use his natural physical shape and his natural, like, his eye color in the frame and in the palettes, and he's just really, really amazing. And the story like takes a lot of like really interesting turns, and it wasn't what I expected at all by the end. The first time I watched it, honestly, wasn't too impressed. But when I gave it a second watch, I gave it another chance, and I was like, oh shit, this is really, really good. So highly recommend that one for The Power of the Dog.
Yeah, I went in expecting to strongly dislike it because it just seemed like a movie that would be up its own ass, and I actually really liked it.
Yeah,
It was a very good film.
yeah,
So if you're on the fence, give it a watch. I also forgot to mention French Dispatch and Lamb are both available to rent on Prime and Apple TV for $5.
yeah,
We'll try to give you guys the streaming options because it's better that way.
yeah.
Coming in at number 13, it's actually a movie we've already talked about. So go back a couple episodes and get our full thoughts, spoiler included. And that's Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho. Just a real fun genre film. He leans into the Gaio film. I was kind of lukewarm on this immediately exiting the theater. And then the more I thought about it and talked about it, it just kind of like grew because I was like, I'm starting to piece together what he was going for a little bit more. And at the end of the day, it's just a really well made movie. That's something you'll always get out of Edgar Wright. Even if you don't like his story or his style, the execution, you'll always have to respect it.
Yeah.
And that's very much the case with this. You get amazing performances from Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy, and the supporting cast is fantastic as well. Nobody really drops the ball in this one. And it's a nice little mystery. It's just a lot of fun. If you want a full review, go listen to that episode.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Lamb and Last Night in Soho very narrowly missed my list. Those are
Yeah.
such great movies to just
Yeah.
enjoy with your friends and see some great visuals.
Amen. It's also available to rent on Prime, Apple TV, all those ones, but for $20. Yeah.
Nice. My next one is also a Netflix original. I went into this one with super low expectations, kind of just rolling my eyes at the thought of another Lin-Manuel Miranda movie. But he surprised me, man, and I think this is a really great creative step in the right direction for him. I'm talking about, of course, Tick, Tick, Boom, which a lot of people are praising Andrew Garfield for. The movie follows the true. It's based on an autobiographical movie by. Hold on, or an autobiographical musical by the legendary Jonathan Larson, who is the genius behind Rent, and it's kind of about the way his origins. He makes a musical about his origin story, and Lin-Manuel Miranda shows the musical in the original form that it was produced, and also has the movie around it. So you see his life, you see his best friend, his love, and his cast, and his producers, and all that stuff. And you see them all interact with him at different points in his life. And you see kind of just the way Jonathan Larson sees the world, and like there'll be times where it's like really realistic and really dark and gritty, and then there are times when it's like fully musical, abstract, totally out there, like dreamlike in a dreamlike way. And I was really impressed, specifically with the direction, and with Andrew Garfield. I thought he was amazing, and Alexandra Shipp and Vanessa Hudgens are also very good in the movie as well.
Yeah, this was one that slipped through the cracks for me. I live with somebody who despises musicals, and most of my time that I have to watch movies are with that person, and so it kind of limits you. But I've heard nothing but good things, and I definitely need to check it out. My number 11 is probably the movie that made me laugh the most this
11 or
year.
12?
12. We're skipping ahead already. Number 12 did not make me laugh at all. Not even a little bit.
Nice.
It's another horror movie. I think, let me do a quick check. No, it's not the top horror movie this year. But it's close because it was very good, a very pleasant surprise. I went in knowing nothing. This was upon the recommendation of one of my coworkers. They're like, hey, watch this movie. Don't even Google it. Just go for the ride. And I did, and it was a very welcome ride. And that is The Nighthouse by David Bruckner. Absolutely fantastic. It's not breaking any genre conventions or anything. It's a pretty run of the mill horror type story and execution, but every jump scare is earned. Every performance is impeccable. You feel the emotional weight that you're supposed to feel, and you get attached to the characters in the way that they want you to. And so it comes together in a very nice way and is very well executed. I think it would satisfy both horror snobs who only want like slow, fancy, artsy horror and casual horror fans who are like, I just want to be scared. I think it hit both these audiences very well with this movie. And I loved it. I think it's fantastic. And so it's my number 12.
I'm in total agreement with you there. The theater that I watched it in, though, like for some reason the projector was like way too dim.
Oh, fuck
And
that.
like,
Any horror movie that has that, you're like, I can't see shit that's happening.
yeah, and like the Nighthouse mostly takes place at night, so
Surprising.
I didn't feel good enough about that experience to include it on the list, but I will rewatch it eventually and probably modify my list afterwards because it is that good. It is as good as Jared is saying, and honestly, like even having that experience, I can already say that Rebecca Hall is in my top 5 actresses of the year for sure.
Yeah, she's fantastic, dude. She absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
And it was ironic because right after watching this, I just picked another random movie and she had directed it. And so I was like, oh, nice.
Nice.
But we'll get to that movie eventually.
Ooh. I missed out on that one, but I which I was very sad about. But I'm excited to hear about it. My number 12 is horror adjacent. It's very dark. It's very it's just very, very like depressing and very heavy when you watch it. And it doesn't deal and even though the director is kind of known for his horror esque stuff, I think he still did a great job just doing this kind of weird noir drama with like a lot of oddities and a lot of and just like one of the heaviest endings of the year. Of course, I'm talking about Nightmare Alley by Guillermo del Toro. Absolutely brilliant performance by Bradley Cooper, by Rooney Mara. Rooney Mara is great, but the reason why it's not in the top 10 is because I think her character is underwritten. But other than that, the movie is excellent. The special effects are great. Willem Dafoe playing a carny is genius. I love it. Kate Blanchett as well.
Yeah, absolutely amazing movie. That Willem Dafoe performance made the film worse for me because I wanted more of him. Like he was just that good. I was like, I just want him to have his own fucking movie.
Is he man or is he beast?
Oh boy. Back to the funny one. I teased comedy earlier. Now we're getting it. Number 11 is one of the most surprising ones for me this year because I don't know. I kind of went in being like, I haven't heard too much about it, but it could be good. And it absolutely was. And that was the return of the dynamic duo Kristen Wiig and Annie Mumolo and Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Oh man,
I absolutely love this. It's hilarious. It's got so much heart and charm to it, and it tickles a funny bone that not a ton of movies have. If you're unaware, that's the same duo who did Bridesmaids, and so if you like that, pretty similar in joke structure. But this is so much more theatrical. You'll know from the first scene if you're gonna like this movie or not. And from there, it's just a great ride. I absolutely loved it. And it was just a real fun time. And so it's my number 11.
Hell yeah. I forgot that this movie existed, and I'm upset that I didn't watch it. But now I'm gonna watch it probably tonight.
It's worth squeezing in for sure.
Okay, cool. My number 11 is the opposite of comedy. It's tragedy, specifically the tragedy of Macbeth, directed by Joel Cohen, who is for the first time making a movie without his brother at all, which is interesting. But it shows that he's still at the top of his game as a director. The compositions are impeccable. The performances are brilliant. There's a little tinge of a little sprinkling of his dark humor in the execution of it. But yeah, I've seen a lot of different Macbeth adaptations. I've seen a lot of I've listened to and watched recordings of plays. And this one is up there with the best for sure. Denzel Washington really takes it to that next level. Is this a daggers monologue? Yeah, like his performance in that is so brilliant, and he's known for being like a really great improviser. But you can't improvise Shakespeare. You can't ad-lib Shakespeare. So it was interesting to see him try something different. Frances McDormand is also great in the movie. And the supporting cast really surprised me. I didn't know any of the supporting actors. So when they showed up, I was like, oh, shit, that's cool. I know him. I really liked it. I definitely need to see it again, and I need to reacquaint myself with the text because it is just the Shakespeare text, nothing more. But it's really, really good, really solid.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It slipped through, but I need to, so I'll get right on that.
I think it'll be streaming on Apple TV Plus in like a couple weeks, and is also still in theaters.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure I'll find time to get around to it. My number 10. Ooh, top 10. I also forgot Barb and Star was on Hulu. And now we're going to Netflix with one that I kind of teased a second ago. And that's Rebecca Hall directing Passing, starring Tessa Thompson and Ruth Negga, I think is her, her counterpart. And it's very good. It was very pleasantly surprised. Once again, a movie I thought was going to be up its own ass from Netflix was not. It was very humbly made. And it hit such a niche, untalked about thing, at least with movies. We are seeing a resurgence of, not really a resurgence, but a surgence of Black stories, which is fantastic. And just the mere concept of Black people having to fit into a white world is an interesting and fruitful subject, and this one does it with a lot of heart. It's got incredible performances that it kind of lives and dies by. The cinematography is gorgeous in black and white 4:3 aspect ratio, and it's just a gorgeous film and a gorgeous story that is tragic nonstop throughout the entire thing. It's not an easy watch at all, but it's an important one, and it's one worth taking. So stream that shit on Netflix, boy. Number 10, Passing.
Hell yeah. I didn't even know that Rebecca Hall was mixed until this movie was announced.
Yeah, same. I was like, oh, weird choice.
yeah. But that's crazy. I'm excited to watch it for sure. Lot of great Netflix content this year for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till the end of the episode, but we're kind of on it now. Do you think Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus had the best year this year?
It depends, because Disney Plus had did no Mandalorian ended before the year ended, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so not Disney Plus. Oh.
Yeah.
But last year I would
Boba
have.
Fett's good, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's not the Mandalorian. And the Marvel shows were like okay. They were all like aggressively okay. um, no, I think for it depends because Hulu has FX, so it's kind of
True.
unfair. So
Yeah.
Archer is always going to be like near the top of my list. Or and then they had Reservation Dogs this year, which was
I
amazing.
still haven't seen that. I still need to. I'm beating myself up over it.
For those of you who are waiting on my Instagram shit, it's spoiler alert. It's my number 2 of 2021. It's that good of a show,
Yeah.
and I'm rewatching it now. It's because I'm showing it to my friends, and like it might be number 1 now because I I fucking love it so much.
Yeah.
But Netflix has put out so many great movies and so many great shows. So I think for movies, yeah, Netflix. And I think for shows, it's about even. But it's pretty tied because it's unfair, but Archer and Bob's Burgers are always like gonna
Yeah.
boost up a little bit.
That's just Jared's bread and butter.
Yeah. Actually, Amazon I think has like 2 or 3 on my Instagram thing on my top of 2021. Yeah, man. Because like literally all the superhero shows from DC and Marvel were like whatever, but Invincible on Amazon is like literally forget every other superhero TV show out there. It's so good.
Damn.
Anyway, my number 10 is not a Netflix original. It did stream on HBO Max for a while, and it'll probably come back eventually. But yeah, this is the one that's gonna probably piss off the film bros and the film majors because it's this low on my list. But I'm gonna go with Dune as my number 10. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I said my problems with it in the previous episode after having seen it twice, or in a previous Jared Cast episode after having seen it twice. I'm willing to give it a third shot for sure, and I'm gonna probably watch it a 4th time before part 2 comes out. But it's it's one of those movies that made me feel like I was watching those epics, those old like David Lean epics for the first time again. And but they still had that extra kind of Villeneuve twisting cinema, twisting our perception of time, twisting our perception of sight and sound. And there's just a lot of fantastic compositions. Rebecca Ferguson gives an amazing performance. So excuse me. So does Oscar Isaac. Yeah, it's an incomplete movie. And the music is annoying sometimes, but other than that, it's like because the highs of the movie are so high, I had to put it in the number above Tragedy of Macbeth because it's just that good.
Yeah. Did I like it? Did I hate it? What did I rate it? Go listen to our episode. Number 9. This might piss off the film bros that it's included. It's Bo Burnham's Inside.
I was expecting it to be your number 1.
No. I do really like this, but I think I like it because of the combination of the music included and the movie itself and like the stand-up side of it. But like strictly movie speaking, I think it's just my 9th favorite. That said, fucking hilarious, fucking tragic. I laughed and I cried during this thing. It's very personal. It's endlessly creative because you are aware of the budget and restrictions that Bo is facing during this process. And just him making you aware of that makes it that much better. You see the low budget attitude, but it's like a part of the movie, which is real cool and unique to see. The music's impeccable. The documentary side of it, of just a artist struggling in isolation, is absolutely beautiful. And I'm a Bo Burnham stan, so I'm not going to not include it. It's my number 9.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. No, I definitely need to see it again for sure. I was gonna watch it last night, but something else dropped on HBO, so I had to put it off. But I'll give it another rewatch for sure. But yeah, everything Jared said was absolutely correct. My number 9 is not streaming anywhere yet. I think you can rent it like for $20 or $6 or something. But it's The Green Knight. I like this movie a lot. Not, I can imagine there are going to be a lot of people putting it in their top 5s, in their top 3s. It's not that high for me, but performances by Joel Edgerton and Dev Patel and Alicia Vikander, Ralph Ineson, all of them super solid. It feels like a folktale, literally ripped right out of the pages of those old timey books. And I love it for that. And I love that it works as kind of it has like kind of one foot in the postmodern of like deconstructing the hero's journey, but also another foot in the classical, where it is a genuine like folktale, and it is something that you would tell your kids around the campfire. I love that shit. So definitely earned its place.
Yeah, a fantastic movie that we may or may not be hearing about later. My number 8 is sorry, film bros. It's Dune. I absolutely love this. I had Dune fever this year for sure. I listened to the audiobook of one of them, read one of them, and it's just fantastic. I think they executed it well for being quote unquote unadaptable, even though it had already been adapted. They nailed it. The design of everything is like exactly what I wanted. The performances are fucking amazing. And overall, just a fantastic execution of very tough subject matter. I agree with a lot of what Jared said earlier about the world being kind of rooted in traditional like fantasy sci-fi, but still having Villeneuve flavor on it. Absolutely agree. The music I like a little bit more, but it's not great. It's not perfect at all.
No.
And if you want to know more, just listen to our episode, you loser.
I agree. Did I tell you about the mean comment we got on it?
No.
Someone commented on our SoundCloud episode upload, and they were like, "Totally poser cucked review."
Fair enough. I mean, I respect the opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at that guy's profile, and all the podcasts he listens to are like pretty basic film bro shows. So okay. I'm not surprised that he held that opinion about us.
Yeah, hey, we're everybody's favorite cocked movie podcast.
We should change we should put that on the poster.
We should.
Totally cooked poster reviews. Poser reviews.
We can start reviewing posters.
Oh man. Anyway, my number 8. Speaking of dark, heavy subject matter, immigration. I hate that I said it that way.
Yeah, those.
But yeah, man, like there's a lot of for my entire life, this has been on a debate, on a constant debate stream, like over how we should deal with refugees, how we should deal with people who are just trying to make it, how we should deal with people who are kind of who are having trouble going through the process legally. And it, there's this notion that like even among immigrants who made it to America or made it to the West, there's this notion like, oh, if these people just did it the right way, if people just did it the legal way, it would all be okay. And this movie is about the fact that that's just not true. So it follows a group of 4 young men who are from, I think one of them's from Iraq, one of them's from Iran, one of them's from Palestine, and then the other 2 are from Sudan. And they all kind of speak broken English, and they're trying to immigrate into the UK, but they're in limbo. So they're in this like government provided housing in the middle of nowhere. It's super cold. It's super barren land. They have to walk a mile to get to a telephone. Walk a couple miles to get to a telephone. And it's just a really, really fantastically performed movie. Definitely slower. But I love that 4:3 work, that 4:3 aspect ratio. Let me look up the actor's name, but he is fantastic. Amir El Masri. He played a hacker in Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime, and so that's why I recognized him. But this is the first time I've seen him as a lead, and he's brilliant. And the movie's just really honest. It's got some kind of like quirky Napoleon Dynamite style humor, where it's just like kind of holding the camera in an awkward place and something awkward happens. But then there's also like really sad moments and really heavy moments, and moments of like moments where the surreal kind of creeps into this guy's existence and to the way he into his life in limbo. So I highly recommend that to everybody. I think you can watch it on Hulu. I'm double checking right now. So you cannot. I think it's on Mubi or HBO Max. So if you have, if you have Mubi, MUBI, fantastic streaming service by the way, and HBO Max, you can probably watch this movie. It's very, very good.
Yeah, a sleeper pick that I need to check out. Thanks for bringing it to the world.
Yeah.
My number, what are we on? 7? My number 7 is also a Netflix movie. It is one that Jared and friend of the show, Renato, both endlessly told me I need to watch. And so I finally caved, and I loved it a lot. It is my only animated pick on this list.
Ooh.
And it is The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Hell yeah.
Just a fantastic movie. I think the only thing keeping it from being higher is that I'm not a fan of children's animation most of the time. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this leans adult enough to be like just in my taste as much. Right. But that said, the execution is near flawless. It's got its unique style that it fully commits to and accepts as like a driving force of the movie. All the characters are relatable, and you empathize with them the entire time. It shows real family dynamics that I absolutely loved and appreciated. The comedy in it is fantastic, albeit childish. I still was laughing my ass off, and I definitely cried at least once during this movie, if not more. And it was just a fantastic movie all around. Highly recommend it, even if you're a grown-ass man like me who's like, I ain't watching no kids movie. Watch it, you loser. Expand your taste a little.
I agree, and we will hear more about it in the future.
I figured. You have been talking it up on multiple episodes of this podcast.
Yeah, it's just so good. I watched it, I think, 3 times in like 2 months. It's great.
Fair.
I need to see it again too. Anyway, my number 7 is another sleeper pick. This one I did not even think would would get this high, honestly, because I was just like, it's just gonna be people talking, whatever. But no, man, oh my goodness, what a crazy, crazy movie, and a crazy idea for a movie as well. It's The Humans, from A24. It is starring Stephen Yeun, Benny Feldstein, Richard Jenkins, Amy Schumer, and June Squibb, and
The long
Jane.
pause after Amy Schumer.
Sorry.
It's okay. It felt like it took a lot out of you to just say her name.
No. I love Amy Schumer in the movie, and she's June Squibb and Jane Hudeshell are all excellent in the movie. So this is based on a play by the director of the movie. So he took his play, which was very kind of it's about a Thanksgiving dinner in a really shitty New York apartment, and it just kind of the ghosts of the past and the ghosts of like whatever went down in that apartment before this family got here, because it's a new family moving in. They kind of just creep in every once in a while to the setting, and it's kind of hard to describe this movie. It's like you're watching a drama, a typical like kind of pretentious New York play, but you're watching it from the perspective of like ghosts. So like sometimes the camera will be in like an entirely other room, and this ensemble, which is, by the way, all heavy hitters, you won't even see their faces. Like they're still acting their asses off, and you can only see like their shadow on the wall, or like sometimes you'll see a shot like through a window or something like that, and the camera kind of takes a back seat, and you're just kind of watching this family go through these a kind of painful but also kind of lovely Thanksgiving meal. And you get to see like a lot of it's really really relatable to, I think, everyone's experiences of the past few years, just kind of how hard everything was. Yeah, man, I was very pleasantly surprised. And typically when you see directors like adapt plays, they're like, oh, we got to honor the play, we got to really make it feel like you're watching the play. But this director he really understands the difference between theater and cinema, and he takes everything that was unique about his theater production and translates it into cinematic technique super super well. And I mentioned the cast earlier, but like they're just world freaking class. There's no ego, there's nobody there's hardly any close-ups in the entire thing. I think there's like less than 10 close-ups, and it's just it's perfect acting wise.
Damn. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I've obviously heard of it because I've got A24's hand in my wallet at all times. But yeah, it's one I've been meaning to see. I just haven't. But I think what you said about it being a play that actually doesn't feel like a play is the thing that's going to get me to watch it most. Because like, you remember Fences, where it just felt like only a play? Yeah. And Passing felt straight up like a play too. It was one of the things I didn't like about it that kind of kept it lower on this list. Right. So I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, it's streaming on Showtime, so you can watch it there.
Nice. Will do. My number 6, just missing the top 5, is Bergman's Island. Absolutely love Bergman's Island. It's this year's tumultuous married couple movie. One of them. I mean, there's always going to be thousands, but I think they execute it very well. The dynamic of two individuals who both deeply love each other, but kind of just don't understand each other at all, or like what makes each other tick, is just on display perfectly. I like that halfway through the movie, they're just like, I see you, we're going to do something completely different. That's all I can say without spoiling it, because it's a fun little switch up. But it jumps between fantasy and reality in a beautiful way. The characters are all humbled and individualistic in a way that like everybody just stands out. even like the smallest side character on the side of the screen seems to have a distinct personality that you can like see part of yourself in, and I think that that's very powerful. The setting is obviously going to be beautiful, and they use it well, being both like a plot device. The blocking around the general area is always like pretty cleanly done, and it clearly influences and bleeds into the movie that you're watching. And same with the subject matter of Ingmar Bergman's world, basically kind of seeping into reality. All of it comes together in a beautiful way, and I liked it a lot. So Bergman's Island is my number 6.
Hell yeah. I like this movie a lot as well. It very, very narrowly missed my list, but I think I think Jared's absolutely right. The main two actors I think were both like pretty last minute replacements. I know Victoria Creeps replaced Greta Gerwig, but I don't remember who Tim Roth replaced. But like for people who were not originally cast in the part, like I can't imagine this movie with another couple. Like they're so brilliant. The two of them in every scene that they're in together, and even the scenes that they're apart are pretty awesome.
The chemistry between them is amazing, and it's always nice to see Tim Roth not be in a Tarantino movie.
Yeah, man. We stand short kings on the Jared cast. Anyway, my number 6 is another is a very different kind of indie drama, shot in black and white, mostly about New York, but also about other communities as well. They go to New Orleans at some point. It's Come On, Come On, the latest feature by Mike Mills, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and I forgot the kid's name. Sorry about that. It's about this uncle who's kind of forced to, who's kind of thrown into a really bad situation, and this kid's mom needs to go take care of something, and so he ends up becoming like a kind of overnight parent, and has to learn how to deal with a preteen, or no, with a 9-year-old, just kind of from scratch, and so and it's really, really lovely. He interviews people for documentaries, and so he brings the kid along and teaches the kid about like sound and stuff, and it's really, really lovely. Like other Mike Mills films, it's not afraid to like use like just a blank frame with text, or like a picture, or like or lean into the narration. And most of the time they tell you, like in film school, like not to do those things, but he leans into those techniques, and it works super, super well. The kid's name, Woody Norman, plays Jesse, and his mom, Gabby Hoffman, plays Viv, and she's also very, very excellent. Scoot McNairy plays Jesse's troubled father, it's another great. It's almost annoying seeing praise for Joaquin Phoenix because he's just that good. But he could, I can't not praise him. He's amazing in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we get the her version of Joaquin Phoenix, and that's always nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. We'll be hearing about it. Number 5. First dip into the top 5.
Should we do our honorable mentions first?
We should. Good call. Thank you for reminding me. Number nothing, because these didn't make the list. We don't like just picking 15, so we're going to give you at least a couple honorable mentions here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can knock mine out first if you'd like.
Yeah, just do all 3, or however many you have.
Yeah, I'll do 3. First up, Pig. very narrowly missing. I literally switched this and like Lamb and French Dispatch just in a constant rotation. Like it might as well be tied for 14 with those two. Incredible movie. I think it relies on its casting a lot because you go in, you're like, all right, this is going to be Nick Cage being wronged and John Wicking the fuck out of people and
Right.
going on a murder spree. But instead, I just kind of vibes and cooks people pasta. And it's great. It's fantastic.
The scene where he's like, "It's not real. None of it's real." I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Amazing performance. I could watch this movie all goddamn day. Another honorable mention was another one that made Jared's list. Power of the Dog. Yeah, it's great. I agree with everything he said. It's a nice twist on Western. Benedict Cumberbatch is fantastic. When usually Benedict Cumberbatch is just like, all right. I mean, like he did good. He just didn't have a lot. He kills it, and it goes in directions that I'm glad they went, but did not expect. And then last, I have three more I want to mention.
Just say it.
but
That's fine.
Well, okay. I'll rattle off two, and I'll go in depth on one. Nightmare Alley, great movie, love it. Guillermo del Toro has my heart. Zola, I kind of already talked about this one a bit, but I think it's a great style, a great story, and a nice little indie film. And then also narrowly missing was Benedetta, which is this year's lesbian church movie. There's always going to be one. There's always the one that breaks through. I think it's fantastic. I think it's gorgeous. It's interesting. I just think they didn't know what opinion they wanted to have of the main character. Like it feels like the script and direction is like, we like this person and we want you to think that what they say is true, but we're also going to undermine it and kind of shame their actions a whole lot. And it just kind of felt confusing for me, and that's why it missed my list.
Yeah, I was going in expecting like a full Verhoeven satire, and it ended up being a biopic, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it was good. It's a great biopic.
Yeah, it's a great biopic, but it's like half the movie they're like, this chick is a saint, and then the other half they're like, she's the Antichrist and deserves death, and you're like, which side are you on?
I don't know, man. Catholics are just weird like that. I'm just kidding. I love my Catholic friends. Anyway, yeah, Zola also made my honorable mentions. I just think it ended on a weird note. Did you read the?
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. Next up, I got a kind of pulpy action movie. This one is called Cop Shop by Joe Carnahan, teaming up once again with Frank Grillo, who was fantastic in The Grey 10 years ago, and is always very consistently good. But it's also got Gerard Butler in it, and he's great in it. And this newcomer named Alexis Louder. The three of them kind of play the tough guy trope, and they're these. So it's two criminals and one rookie cop, and they're kind of stuck in a small police precinct together, and just shit goes down and guns go blazing, and it's great. It's great, violent fun. If you're a fan of Assault on Precinct 13, the classic John Carpenter film, the movie is similar, but it's also different enough that it still feels like its own thing. Highly recommend that if you like those pulpy action stuff. And then the next one is The Card Counter by Paul Schrader, starring Oscar Isaac, Tiffany Haddish, and Willem Dafoe. This movie is amazing. It's just a little bit samey as First Reformed, and not better than First Reformed. So, although I do love this movie a lot, it'll probably just be like 16. And then the last but not least is Boiling Point. Did you see this one?
No.
So it's starring Stephen Graham, who's like normally playing like side characters, and he plays this chef who's like he was like having his worst possible night ever. He just missed his son's like swimming meet, and his restaurant is overbooked, and he's got other personal problems as well. And the entire thing is a no cheating, no special effects, no hidden edits. It's an entire 90-minute unbroken shot of the first hour of dinner service in an overbooked restaurant. So you see not just him, you see the customers, you see the sous chefs, you see the new cooks on prep, you see the old cooks on prep, you see the baker, and yeah, it's just a really really stressful kind of uncut gemsy movie. And very, very, very well executed. I love Stephen Graham as a supporting actor, so it was great to see him in a lead role. So yeah, I want to shout that movie out for sure.
Nice. That sounds 1,000% up my alley, and I'll need to watch it.
Yeah.
Cool. Great list. Hopefully the audience can't guess our top 5. But I'll give away part of it right now, because number 5 is one that Jared so kindly already introduced a little bit ago. We're going to the fantasy realm with The Green Knight. I adore this movie. I rewatched it last night, and I think I like gasped out loud at the cinematography alone like 3 different times, having already seen it in theaters. It's just a beautiful film. The way they'll use even splashes of color just like draws your eye immediately, and holds it there, and it knows what to do with it after. And I think it's fantastic. Every character he meets along his journey is gripping, and you don't know any motives, and they're all incredibly mysterious to both the audience and him, and it keeps you engaged and in the fucking movie the whole time. Dev Patel absolutely destroys it, but I think what I like most about this is it just subverts everything. Like, the dude is just not it, and like that's the story. Is just like, hey, he's a fucking bum, and I love that about it. I love that it's like, not all fairy tales have to be the knight saves the day and does all this cliche shit. It's just more about him learning what it means to be honorable, learning what it means to be in this position, and what the cost is of that. And I think it does a beautiful job. I am absolutely gripped and enamored by this movie, and it's my number 5.
Hell yeah. Excellent movie. David Lowery killing it, as always.
Yeah.
Yeah, my number 5, very, very different. But this movie's been near my top 10 for pretty much the whole since it came out, because I literally like cried tears of joy at one scene, and that doesn't happen a whole lot. But yeah, this one it's got a super solid cast, super solid direction, a fantastic comeback by James Gunn. Yes, of course, I'm talking about the Suicide Squad. It's the only superhero movie that I felt was like, on top of being like cool and interesting and like a good way to relive the comic books that I grew up loving. On top of all of that, it had its own heart. It had its own cinematic brilliance about it, and I think the action is way more competent than anything else that came out this year. I loved Spider-Man No Way Home, but there were a couple. But even that movie like had a couple like shaky cam fist fights, and I was like, why are you doing this? It's Spider-Man. You don't need to do this. But Suicide Squad literally like. They literally have like a really long take of just Idris Elba and John Cena going through and just very methodically, very slowly, and very sadistically killing people left and right, and that's what I love to see. It's got a great sense of humor. is particularly from John Cena and Sylvester Stallone, who plays a talking shark, a talking indestructible shark. The beating heart of the movie, though, is this really fantastic character called Ratcatcher 2, who I knew, like, as soon as she was introduced in the trailer, I was like, oh man, like, I know James Gunn's going to go for that because James Gunn loves the obscure stuff. So, like, I was very excited to see her and what they would do with someone whose only power is just controlling rats. And then there's Polka Dot Man by David Desmalkian. I think he's also excellent. Of course, Margot Robbie's great as Harley Quinn, and Idris Elba's great as Bloodsport, and Joel Kinnaman is great as Rick Flag. Yeah, it plays like a 70s war movie, just with like a lot more blood, a lot more gore, and that's what I love to see. I love that they kind of leaned into the comic book style while still making fun of itself.
Yeah, I actually watched this one,
Ooh.
and I liked it. It was a superhero movie that Jared liked. Not enough to make my list, unfortunately. Spoiler, it's not my top 4. But I did really like it. It was surprisingly entertaining. And I think the guy, you just said his name, and I can't remember it. The guy who plays Polka Dot Man
David Desmalchian.
is, yeah, maybe one of the most underutilized men in Hollywood. I love him every time, and he's always the smallest fucking role.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah. When he's dancing in the nightclub, I was like,
Yeah.
man, I'm so glad that he finally gets like a role this big. Yeah.
The man needs to shine, I swear. I need him to pop off. On a completely different note, number 4 is Teton.
Probably equal in terms of gore.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's grosser,
Yeah,
but like
it is grosser.
as
But
far as
the gore,
amount, yeah.
yeah. If you put all the blood in a bucket, they'd be a pretty even scale. Teton is a bonkers fucking movie. There's no way to put it around it. Julie D absolutely kills it once again. It is surprising in ways you don't want and ways you want. But at the end of the day, it's a movie about parenthood, weirdly enough, and like what makes a father figure. A movie about like paying for your mistakes and your wrongdoings. And I think it's just got a nice root in that. And so you can kind of forgive all the batshit insanity that they throw at you.
Yeah.
Every performance top to bottom is amazing. That's pretty much the case with every movie. Honestly, in my top 8, sorry, Bo Burnham, you are fantastic. You're just playing yourself in that. But like every single character is amazing. The score and soundtrack are gripping. The violence is repulsive but satisfying. Everything's got a nice oomph to it that you just like can't help but be like, oh fuck yeah.
It's got a proper crunch.
Yeah, it's just got that nice crunch, and I think that's what Julia does well. Yeah, I don't know. This movie's just insane, and I can't really talk about it without spoiling anything. So I'm staying true to my word and just saying, watch it. Basically, just watch it.
Yeah. One of these days, one of us will pick it, and we'll be able to talk spoilers.
Absolutely.
Such a great movie. I remember being in the theater and like, and I was for the first time I watched it, and I was like very happy to see that like, okay, cool. This crowd knows what it's about and knows.
Yeah.
This crowd has seen Raw because they were enjoying it as much as I was. And I was
Okay,
like,
good. Because the second somebody comes in, he's like, I don't know, let's just go see this. They're having a bad time.
Oh yeah.
From the get go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My number 4 is such a beautifully executed movie. And it's kind of about growing up. It's kind of about romance. It's kind of about Hollywood and like just LA culture and how everyone is fake. And this movie is kind of weird, right? It's dealing with a lot of there's some criticism around the main relationship in the film, but and there's many other people who are just like praising it, but also like not talking about the thing, and I'm wondering why. And so I'm curious, and I keep reading more and more about it, and more from the people who are actually involved in the movie. And honestly, like I'm so glad that I watched Licorice Pizza in theaters with a freaking packed theater, man. Like I was like in the Bruin Theater, which is right by UCLA. 1,300 seats, and so like
Jeez.
so yeah, it was packed like and so and we were all just having the best time because we knew we were in the hands of a master. We like it's a very free flowing. I won't give away too much so that because Jared has not seen it yet, but Licorice Pizza is a very free flowing movie about two people trying to find their way in the valley, and one of them is a former child actor, and the other one is a 20-something who just doesn't have a direction for her life, starring Alana Haim, who is the keyboard player and guitarist and background singer of a band that I really love and a band that Paul Thomas Anderson really loves. And the other one is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, which was really, really interesting to see. Like Cooper Hoffman is his name, and he plays the other main character, and both of them are the breakout performances of the year for sure. Probably next to Agatha from Titan. They're both absolutely amazing. When Cooper kind of gave a smile and he looked just like a fraction just like his dad, I like started tearing up. I was like, because I miss his dad, man. I miss his dad, and Bradley Cooper is also great for in his role. Yeah, it's a movie that I think, you know, I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I think Licorice Pizza kind of did what, like a similar thing that movie did, but like even better and even more polished, even more sophisticated, and really, really deep. Also, Tom Waits is great in the movie. I forgot how good Tom Waits was as an actor until I watched it. Sean Penn, he's also great in this movie. Yeah, I love Licorice Pizza. I highly recommend everybody watch it and form your own opinion about it. Don't like go to freaking Vox or some asshole who thinks they know what the movie's about. Definitely worth your time.
Yeah. We've already talked about my struggles not being able to see this movie. Update for the audience. It is finally in theaters here, but it was only at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. and I worked 2:30 to 11:30 p.m. for the past 10 days. And so I didn't get a chance. But I will the second I get the opportunity. We are going to jump on over to Apple TV for number 3.
Ooh.
This one may come as a surprise in its height to some people, but this movie immediately was near and dear to my heart right the fuck away. And I am talking Coda. It is maybe the least ableist movie I've seen about deaf people ever. And I love that. Because it's whenever I see a movie that's like clearly like got its like thing where it's like, hey, we're making a movie like about this situation, I'm like, how are they gonna approach it? How effective is it gonna be? And is the whole thing gonna revolve around that? And so that was kind of my worry coming into a movie mostly blind. I hadn't even seen the trailer about a singer who was in a deaf family, but the execution of it was amazing. Just having it be a normal fucking family and it not
Yeah.
being like, oh, look at these poor like deaf people. It's so sad. I'm like, no, they're like just people living their life, and I love that. I love that they all have agency. They all overcome their struggles, and it's just about the family unit rather than about that. And it's just executed amazingly. The cast is fantastic, from Ruby Rossi to or Amelia Jones as Ruby Rossi, and Eugenio Derbez as his teacher, was a fantastic duo with a lot of chemistry. And we finally get to see for for Dio Walsh Pilo return to the fucking screen after Sing Street. I haven't seen anything this dude's done since then,
Oh
and it was
yeah.
such a triumphant return because he absolutely kills it. The music is fantastic in it, and every time I thought it was going to get tacky, they didn't do the tacky thing, and I loved that about it. I feel like going into this movie, there's certain beats that you expect, like the big final magical musical number where her family finally respects her art and stuff. And when that moment comes, they're like, no, not yet. We're not going to fully give it to you, and I love that about it. There's so many beats where they like kind of subvert it enough to hit the mark, and just keep it unique and surprising throughout. Every character was relatable. Even the brother, the situation that he's in, being like the older brother who's not as respected as the younger sister, purely because of a situation he had no say in, was executed perfectly. And that's just like the most minor of subplots within this movie. The entire thing was gripping, was emotional, and was beautiful. And so Coda's my number 3.
Hell yeah. I loved Coda as well. I'm upset that I forgot about it. Otherwise, it probably would have changed my list. Yeah, man. Like, I agree with you. And like something that I thought was really exceptional was like the way the characters were framed in the shot, because like you can see them actually sign.
Yeah.
And like so you get and so you know what's great about sign language is like it's another like it's a language that doesn't just require your hands, like it requires your whole body and your face, and the movie doesn't compromise, and just show a close-up and then the subtitles. It doesn't just show like the hands and then the subtitles. Like they show like the whole person's body really in the conversation. And and I think that led to a lot of really exceptional performances, as Jared said.
Yeah, like watching like the couple fight during the movie, I'm like,
Dude.
this is intense as fuck. Like
Yeah.
it's because it's so physical and out there, and I think it helps using deaf actors, because they've been there. They know what it's like to like have to argue with people that way. I think it just made it that much better. It's a incredible movie.
Hell yeah. Oddly enough, I don't want to give too much away about my number 3 because I don't think you've seen it, but they do something similar with the framing and with the use of sign language in Drive My Car.
I have not.
Yeah. Okay. So I won't give away too much.
Where did you watch it? Was it in theaters near you?
I had to drive to Santa Monica to watch this, which is like
Okay.
an hour and change away from me.
Yeah, the only place it showed here was Portland, and that's like 4 or 5 hours.
Sheesh. Yeah, this movie like was in a freaking wrestling match with Licorice Pizza for the past couple days, but I decided to put it over because it's it it like it's just 3 hours of really really great cinema, and like Oh, great! Now this week it plays near me. Jeez. I'm just looking at the show times right now. Yeah, so the cast, I can't pronounce any of their names, but basically the premise is there's a playwright who is dealing with a lot of personal problems, and on top of that, he's directing a play directing a multilingual adaptation of Anton Chekhov's Uncle Vanya. So what basically every single actor in the play speaks a different language. And so he has to figure. So he's trying to direct everybody to in this really like awesome and experimental way, and just purely letting the text speak for itself and speak to the person individually. And this movie, yeah, like I said, is 3 hours long. It's a slow movie, but it earns every fucking second. And every second is so beautiful. There's a scene where a woman auditions for a part in the thing, and it's a very key scene in Chekhov's play, and she auditions in Korean Sign Language, and
Damn.
I swear to God, I cried. I cried at her audition. Like, it's amazing, dude. It's amazing. The soundtrack is absolutely beautiful. I love piano-driven scores, and I think this is my favorite of the year. My favorite score of the year. Ryusuke Hamaguchi is the director. He absolutely is super attentive to all of his cast members. I had no idea where the story was going, and it's still and so it kept me really involved with the driver, with the play director. Kafuku is his name, Yusuke is his name, and the driver's name is Watari. Watari, I don't know. Yeah, they're both amazing in the movie. Yeah, there's a lot of time spent just like talking in a car, and it's brilliant cinema. It's unparalleled as far as the level of talent in its ensemble, the level of emotional complexity in its script. And yeah, I definitely recommend it to everybody. I won't say too much more about the plot, because literally the thing about the play, like, that's like barely half of it. Like, there's so much going on dramatically that the play is just like a nice little. It's like the pepperoni on the pizza. It's like not even the pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this movie. I mentioned in our last episode, it was one of my most anticipated to see this year. Yeah, I just know that for a movie that you can tell is based off the writing, having it be from source material from my favorite author, I was like, yeah, I'm here for it, you know. And so yeah, I know this is gonna be jump near the top of my list, and I haven't even seen a trailer, so I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Number 2, just missing the number 1 spot, was another one Jared had mentioned already.
Ooh.
Yeah, we for some reason this year, black and white was just the thing. Everybody was like, yeah, we're just going to do that this year. And so if that doesn't give it away, it's Come On, Come On. My favorite black and white movie of the year. It's just so hard to watch, I guess. It's beautiful and real and human in all the best ways. It basically just explores what the fuck we're all doing here. Like, why why do we exist, and what should we make of it?
Yeah.
Both from the perspective of children around the country and one man who is kind of emotionally inept and doesn't have his shit together at all. And I think that's just such a pure concept that I loved so much. Absolutely destroyed performances by every single person, down to I can't remember the name of the husband.
Scoot McNairy.
Yeah, Scoot McNairy, even down to that, fantastic. Every single person kills it. The fact that they use real interviews from just children they met is great. You get to see Joaquin Phoenix stay in character in kind of like a documentary setting, which just transcends and makes this movie so much more real and powerful. This is a movie that immediately made me think of my family because it's just the conversations that like we would have and just like chat about like shit like this. And it's a beautiful execution, and seeing a man kind of just forced to take on responsibility that he's definitely not ready for, and a child who's not ready to be taken care of in that way, and they just have to figure it out. I think it causes a night of not a lot of nice, uh, organic conflicts that just feel real. Like this whole movie could have been a documentary, and I would have been down for it. It's absolutely stunning. It is very deep without being pretentious about it, and it's not going to make you form opinions that they want, but it'll at least make you think about things that they want you to think about. And I think that that's a perfect execution of a movie like this. I absolutely adore it.
Did I tell you about meeting Mike Mills? About when I met
No.
Mike Mills? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
So there was a panel at the Santa Barbara Film Festival, and like Taylor Sheridan was there. The guy who wrote Arrival was. This was 2016. So the only person who was missing was Barry Jenkins. Everybody else who was nominated that year was there. And Mike Mills was there was a luncheon, and a bunch of film students were like invited to the luncheon and just to hang out with the screenwriters and stuff. And I was at Mike Mills' table, and he was saying after 20th Century Women, he was like, yeah, so Beginners was about my dad, and this one was about my mom, and I'm out of. He's like I'm a little nervous because I'm out of dead parents to be inspired by, so I'm kind of screwed. And everybody at the table laughed, but like I'm so like. This is just as good as those other two movies. Like,
Yeah, I liked it more.
Yeah.
TBH.
I can't praise Come On enough. It's so good. Yeah. My number two and my number one we're mentioned by Jared already.
Damn.
But no, yeah, it's all good. Like I feel like this is cool. Like we like we like a lot of the same movies, but we like different ones more. And with the Mitchells versus the Machines, yeah, it's fucking perfect, man. I have a soft spot in my heart for animation, particularly when it's this good. But when it's this good, like I can't. I stay up late at night just thinking about how good it is. Like the fact that the dog, who, like, by the way, isn't a talking dog. It's a normal, like, kind of goofy dog. Like, the dog gets an arc. Like, come on, man. Like, the dog gets an arc, and it's a satisfying, and it's a brilliant arc. Every single member of the family has a satisfying and brilliant and beautiful and amazing arc. Even though they don't look like me, like I feel like I'm a part of their tribe. I feel like like I've gone through everything that Katie has gone through. I feel like Sony made a fake profile of Katie on Letterboxd. So like I follow Katie now. I feel like I'm friends with her, commenting on her reviews and shit. Yeah, man. Like Eric Andre is hilarious. The movie has a lot of like really interesting and nuanced things to say about technology. It's not just like technology is bad. The internet is messing everybody up.
Yeah.
Like it's super, super wholesome, and it's super, super just fun and colorful and bright, and totally unapologetic in what it is. And yeah, I mean, it's the same people who did Into the Spider-Verse, same studio, so of course they're gonna kill it with the animation. But the action is exceptional. Like even the way they, like you can still animate something and have it look, and action scenes will still can still look bad. They can still look half-assed. They can still look rushed. This one did not. This one looked like the action is legitimately thrilling, legitimately hard-hitting. Some parts really surprisingly violent. But in a hilarious way that made me like literally jump up and pump my fist in the air like, yes, I can't believe they did that. Yeah, I love The Mitchells versus the Machines. Check it out on Netflix if you haven't already.
Yeah, a fantastic movie. I already said my piece about it, but I cannot recommend it enough. Definitely worth a watch. We're here. It's
here.
number one time.
Number one.
We've made it. Thank you for joining us this far. This one may come as a surprise. It is one that was not mentioned so far this episode.
Ooh.
But it is the most immersive movie I watched. One of the most gripping movies I watched. And it is the only documentary on my list. It is Summer of Soul from Questlove. I absolutely love this movie. Watching this movie got me in trouble with my significant other because I ignored all her texts and calls because I was just that into it. I was just glued to the screen. I think I had like 3 missed calls afterwards. But for a documentary to do that, like that's crazy right off the bat, especially like watching at home, not in a theater. If you can pull that off, you're doing some good shit. This is like immediately one of my favorite music documentaries of all time. Immediately, like from the get-go of this film, I think it tells a story that needs to be told, but in a way that is all appreciation for the music and the like just impact that these few weekends had on society and how it was immediately forgotten. The alternate title is When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised. And I think that is a perfect subtitle for it because that's the heart of the film is here's this crazy important thing that happened, but since white people had something similar happening nearby, that just gets all the attention. And it's just a beautiful movie, full of beautiful organic moments that you just live through for the first time, or if you've been acquainted with the subject matter for the second time with people who are actually there. You relive it alongside them, and just seeing their reactions, they're like, damn, this was like historic as fuck, and like I was there and they never really processed or realized it. And it's just a beautiful movie, full of beautiful moments, the best soundtrack of the year for me, easily. And it's a fantastic film. I cannot recommend Summer of Soul enough.
Hell yeah. I will definitely check it out. It's on Hulu, right?
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
I will. Yeah, it's a high priority for me. Then I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was. I was going back and forth between that and Come On, and even Coda and Teton were all kind of in the running for first place for me. But when I thought about just like flat out experience while watching the movie, I had smile on my face or tears on my face the entire time here. And I was like, no other movie did that. And so I had to put it as number one for me.
Awesome. But yeah, thank you for your number one. My number one is Titan. I think this movie is everything that cinema should be. It touches a place beyond the real and beyond the fantasy, and it's just pure cinema. It's that state of sight and sound and emotion and mystery and revelation that just punches you in the face. And I'm being very vague because I want to give as much praise to this movie as I can without giving anything away. But the violence is unreal, and it's so perfectly done. It's so perfectly edited, and the performances by Agatha Roussel and Vincent Lindon are amazing as well. Two of the, like, as far as I'm concerned, the best actor, best actress of the year. The amount of physicality and the amount of and the level of difficulty in their verbal performances as well, I think is like it. They make it look easy, and it's very clearly not. I think with Julia, the director, the writer director, I think we're seeing the rise of a new cinematic master. I think she's two or more movies. She's one or two movies away from being considered an all-time great. And I think yes, it is body horror. Yes, it is a genre film, but it isn't about genre. It isn't about. It does lean into those tropes, but the movie goes beyond that. Like Jared said, a lot of the movie is about parenthood. A lot of the movie is about paying the consequences for your actions. But it also is this beautiful thing where you see a relationship blossom that goes beyond the boundaries. That goes beyond any social boundaries, whether it be gender or age or just blood. The relationship that you see on screen is so unique and so twisted and so interesting that, like, I feel like I'll be peeling back its layers more and more over the years and seeing more and more details over the years. I say fuck the Oscars for not nominating it for best
Insane.
best foreign language. I think even even with Drive My Car on the table, I think this blows it out of the water, honestly. Unless it gets nominated for Best Picture, I'm not going to watch the Oscars at all. There's no
Which
point.
it probably won't, let's be honest.
But even the cinematography, like, I'm so sick of these boring ass color palettes, man. The fucking orange and teal shit that people keep doing. Even Nightmare Alley, which I loved, like, the color in it is so boring. It's so lame. Like, and this one keeps it's like the there's like this there's always like this like coolness in the color palette, especially in like the more like, especially in the scenes with cars or in the scenes with that are like very strongly lit. But there's also like these really fantastic colors that just pop, and especially when Vincent's in the bathroom or when there when there is fire. They I can't say where the fire is
out here. I feel you.
The shadows and the lights are so impeccable. The music, oh my god. I love this. They use the same song in freaking 1917. And they use it in a really twisted and horrible way, but I love it. And Jim Williams with the soundtrack, man. Love this soundtrack. When you think kettle drums and a triplet beat with kettle drums, you think, 2001: A Space Odyssey. But now I think Titan. Like, the soundtrack is that good in this movie. I absolutely love this film. I highly recommend it for people who can stomach it, because it is very gross. It is very violent. It is
Yeah.
horrifying.
Don't go in if you're like faint of heart, because it does take some gusto to get through.
Yeah, I was curled into a ball at one point for sure. But I think that's what great horror cinema does. That's what great cinema does. It evokes something real in its spectators, and the whole the voyeuristic nature of cinema, of us kind of peeking behind the curtain of the lives of these fictional people, these people who don't exist. And also for people who did exist, for people who experienced a part of history, like in Jared's number one. I think that's what makes this art form so special, and I think that's what makes this year so special, because movies like Summer of Soul and movies like Titan came out and blessed us in that way.
Yeah. Honestly, a real sleeper year for how good it was. Like, I feel like nobody was really talking about any of the movies that made either of our lists, but like some incredible art was made this year, across the board, honestly, across any medium and genre and subject matter. We had a fantastic year of art, and I appreciate you joining me in the adventure of consuming as much of it as fucking possible in as short of a time as we can.
Yeah, man. I agree. Thank you as well. And yeah, like my list will probably change when I see Sean Baker's Red Rocket. Like,
Yeah, I'm so excited for it.
like-
February 8th, I think it comes strong streaming.
apparently Bye 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 is like not just in the soundtrack, like it's important to the plot. So like I'm so excited to see, like, just that alone. Like, I didn't even need to know the premise. Like, Sean Baker licensing Bye 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 is like enough for me.
Yeah, I literally have tried watching it 3 times now, and I keep like missing the date that it comes available because I keep thinking that it has happened.
Yeah. You could also try following him on Twitter, and he usually announces the locations. But yeah, thank you, audience. Those were our best movies of 2021. Catch us in another year, I guess. I don't know. All right, tune in next week. We got another music video special coming out.
Very hyped.
Very hyped for that. We'll see how the recording of it turns out, though.
We'll see very soon.
And if you want to know our most anticipated films of 2022, you can go to the previous episode, and you can check it out there. But yeah. Anything else you want to leave the people with?
Absolutely not. Thanks for getting this far. Let us know your favorite movies. Like, what the fuck did we miss? I'm sure there were a lot of movies that we just didn't even see that you're like, this is the greatest thing ever made.
Right.
So definitely let us know, because we will watch it.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. We love you. Goodbye.
See ya.